episode 19 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast live here on a Wednesday, August 31st, 2016. Oh boy, it's already September. This year's gone by way too fast, but it's been a fun year so far. For a lot of reasons, from a wrestling standpoint and a life standpoint. And I hope you guys are having a good week. This is your first time listening to this podcast. I'm Josh Lopez. I'm a play-by-play writer from WrestleZone.com. You can follow me on Twitter at WC Josh Lopez. I'm alongside weekly, of course, by my correspondent, my co-host, one of my best friends, a brother from another mother. You can follow me on Twitter at Adam Daly 13. What's going on, good brother? Brother Nero himself, Adam Daly. What's going on, my man?
Josh, what's going on? Yeah, I guess I should say if you're a first-time viewer or listener, I'm just kind of just some dude that just talks on a bunch of these shows. I'm really no one important. I don't claim to be anybody important, and I don't attempt and or try to reenact the fact that I am somebody important, because I realize I am not. Back to you, Josh. You like that? I like completely underselling myself all the time.
I couldn't agree more there, at least from my point of view. We're not that special. But we do appreciate you guys checking out the show and supporting us each week. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, or go on Podomatic.com. Or also make sure to like this video and subscribe. Check out all of our previous episodes of the podcast here on YouTube. We started this bad boy the week after WrestleMania this year, if I'm not mistaken. And it's been a good year of wrestling so far. I want to start off on this really quick before we go to all the great stuff that happened on Raw with Kevin Owens. We'll talk about that. If you have any questions, comments, soliloquies, anything that's on your mind about professional wrestling, put it in the chat room, and I'll try our best to read your questions on air and stuff. I want to start off with this, Adam. I feel this may be the best year all around in wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it, in the last at least 10 years. No, I'm not saying just for WWE purposes. I'm saying for a lot of things. I'll just round this off really quick before we get to the WWE part. ROH has been very consistent with their pay-per-views. From where I'm standing, I get to cover the ROH pay-per-views for WrestleZone, and they get a lot of great feedback. And the partnership they have with New Japan is really off the chain, and I'm happy that the guys are still having success. And believe it or not, the little Fight TV app deal they got with ROH is actually helping them a lot, gain more exposure on the international market at the same time. Lucha Underground, what else can I say? Lucha Underground is the most unique wrestling show out there out of all the wrestling companies. I love it. I can't wait for September 7th. I can't believe it's already next Wednesday. Lucha Underground returns, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, so Lucha Underground is great. They just finished season 2 about 4 weeks ago, I think, about a month ago. And what else? TNA. Broken Matt Hardy. We talk about it every week. Broken Matt Hardy. The Brother Nero story has saved TNA from abyss and a abomination or complete and utter deletion for the 5th millionth time. And of course, WWE, you go from NXT, where we have Nakamura as an NXT champion. You have Finn Balor won the Universal title, but he had to be vacated. Now we got Kevin Owens as a champion. AJ Styles may become a champion by this time next Sunday. There's so many different things that changed with perception-wise to the WWE. I just think in general in wrestling, it's gotten better to the point where I'm enjoying wrestling as much now as I did as a kid during the Attitude Era. I don't know, maybe that's me, but that's what I like about this show. We got two fans from two different eras of wrestling, so I'd like to get your thoughts on this.
Oh, thanks for tongue-in-cheek, subconsciously calling me the old man there. I appreciate you, Josh. I love you.
You're welcome.
I like that you established that I am the older brother in this scenario. You know what, man? As big as the Attitude Era was, and I know that I mean, it was at a point of popularity where we would play. Our running game was like during the holiday season, like during Christmas, when we were all mall rats, and that's why that's always been one of my favorite movies, because that was basically what encompassed my 1990s. And we'd always make a joke. It was like, all right, it's Austin 316 shirts versus NWO shirts, you know, or it was, you know, I mean, so wrestling during the Attitude Era absolutely was at a certain point. I still don't know if it was as big as it was in the 80s though. And you know, when I was a kid growing up, just because again, there was a lot more focus on not only the territories, but you know,
Yeah.
your main programs at the same time. But when they first broke national, you know, I think that was a big deal. But you know, part of me agrees, man. I mean, I think that we live in such a jaded and critical society that it's hard to really get people excited for anything anymore. You know what I mean? And it really is. And it sucks that we've become that as a society as a whole, we've become this way. But I think WWE in this new era, especially, I mean, I think it's been there for a couple years now. It's slowly been, you know, building, but
Yeah.
now we're really starting to see the foundation of where they want to go in the future.
Hmm.
And dude, I love it because listen, we all know that it's a work, but you know, now there are segments where we're guessing, okay, you know, okay, yeah, we know it's a work, but was it an accident? Did this go too far? Did they just not get the reaction they were expecting? You know, now they have us guessing all over. You know, it's a different kind of kayfabe, and I like that. You know, I like being. I like staying out of the dark, so that's why I like staying off dirt sheets, even though I'm featured on 2 of them. Please go to mindofcarnage.com and wrestlingrumors.net. Anyway, cheap plugs. But you know what? I think money says a lot. You know,
Yeah.
money speaks volumes, and you know, comparatively, this is the most successful year not only for independents, which we could call the new territories.
Correct.
I mean, this is something you and I have been talking about for a while. Not just you and I, a lot of people. You know, so this is again, guys, where we're not trying to be experts here, but a lot of us have been talking that you know that it's kind of the new age. You know, in the indies are the new age territories, and they're profitable and they're marketable, and with social media, it's showing that you know merchandise sales for independents. You know, being able to be your own seller, being able to sell your own merchandise on Pro Wrestling Tees, you know, that's huge. Guys like Chris Jericho that can not only work for WWE but also have shirts on Pro Wrestling Tees. You know, I think that it's such a unique generation we're in right now that for somebody that's been watching this for over 30 years, that does not try to be too smarky about it, that understands it's a business, but also understands it's a story, and never forgot that he was a fan of the characters and the story first before I was a fan of wanting to make money. This, to me, honestly, this has been, I'd say, the past year and a half. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but really right now, and the reason why I'm so excited for them going forward is this has been probably, I think, the most excited I've been watching wrestling. And I think a lot of it has to do with just kind of not being as critical, not trying to overanalyze, and knowing that they're doing things. There is no such thing as WWE logic, and we need to stop with that quote, because it's a new era for a reason. They're trying new things, and so of course, WWE logic is not going to seem like traditional wrestling logic. It's new, the new era, you know? So if we want these changes to go through, we're not going to understand some of their moves from time to time, which again, I like that because this is a story that we watch. It's a live action comic book. We can't say this enough, but it's one that never ends. It's a living, breathing entity that changes from a day-to-day basis, especially now, again, with social media, with everything. So you look at Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins cutting a promo on each other before Raw went on the air on Monday night through Twitter. In no other era could you have that. So I know there's a lot of people that really try to criticize, you know, certain companies or certain talents or certain styles or whatever, but I don't think I will debate anybody on this planet. I don't care how long they've been either in this business or what kind of fan you think you are, that this is absolutely the greatest time for professional wrestling, at least in my 36-year lifetime.
Yeah, and I want to bring this up because I have a little topic we'll talk about later after we talk about Kevin Owens. I want to talk, well, I guess the main thing that's keeping me excited is the fact that I've been able for the last 4 to 5 years been able to let things out, let things play out, and let the special moments happen. And I think as society and as wrestling fans, we've rendered that phrase and terms obsolete, if you look at it, because nobody lets anything play out. Hell, nobody can handle a 2-month feud, let alone a 3-month feud anymore. It can't be like back in the day where you had Macho Man versus Hulk Hogan for 2 years, 2 different WrestleManias. or have Austin versus Rock for 3 years in a row or whatever. But my point is like I guess for me, the best part about wrestling is that there's not just one thing to watch. There's not one thing to cling onto and call yours and be fully support. You know what I mean? And the Cruiserweight Classic is a perfect example. I want to make this point. Like WWE has become like an NFL, an MLB, an NBA type of thing where you don't have to watch the main products if you don't want to. Like if you're disinterested in Raw, you could watch a SmackDown and a Cruiserweight Classic. You could watch an NXT or whatever. You have your choice now, and you can watch the Lucha Underground. You could watch all the great stuff from the UK. The people from UK that put their good products out on YouTube and stuff, or was on that WWN live thing. I don't know if are they still doing that with Evolve, Adam? Are they still having
that? I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
So I don't want to pretend like I know, because I don't.
but either way, I feel like I just feel like for me, I have more questions than I have answers. And hell, this is for me where I'm like in depth with actually following along with what's going on in the product more than most other people. But I'm not going with the whole, WWE logic this, WWE logic that, 50-50 booking this. I could look at my pieces for WrestleZone and I can tell you there's not that much 50-50 booking. But I think as the weeks and months go by, more of these old, outdated perceptions of what WWE is slowly for surely fading away, at least in my point of view. Now is everything perfect? No, but no wrestling company or a sports entertainment company is perfect. But hey, you whether you're enjoying it or not, and I think that's the main part here.
And you know what? I think what has really helped me enjoy, and I don't want to say helped me like we need help enjoying wrestling these days, but I think sometimes when you watch something for so long, anything's going to start to feel stale unless it changes. Unless if anybody's seen the movie Waiting, there's sometimes you gotta, you just gotta create your own penis showing game. So for me with wrestling, I had to flip the script, and I want to credit a couple things too, and maybe this is where I think for me, I never have that jaded feeling, and I don't really over analyze anything anymore. Yeah, it's fun, the fantasy book, but I don't ever I never, try to come off as this, it should be this way or it should be that way.
Yeah.
And two reasons. One, now that my daughter's at the age, my daughter's been watching wrestling now she's 6. She's been watching it since she was like 1 or 2. I mean, reacting to Punk's music, reacting to like Daniel Bryan's, AJ Lee's beat. So this is stuff that like now she's finally understanding the story more. And again, guys, she knows it's a story, and she understands the business. I don't want to say the business side, but she's a little 6-year-old smart, I guess is the easiest way of saying it. But watching it with her, it helps you see it through the eyes of a child, and it drops that innocence level back in. So we're not sitting here looking at the characters as, oh, well, screw this person because they're married to this person, or screw this. You know what I mean? You're just looking at the characters themselves, not as the people playing the characters. Number two, whenever I first started doing video for Wrestling Rumors, and I really want to thank everybody, Chris Cash, Doug O'Mac, and Walter, for really giving me a chance over there. And listen, I love those guys because I understand that I was absolutely the Kevin Federline to Sam Daly. It was like, Sam Daly's the star. Hell, let's just bring her husband in because maybe they'll be good. And we decided, we're going to take the comedy route. And that's where it was like, where I think the most passionate I ever really got on a rant was last year about Kevin Owens, just saying, pull the trigger on him a little bit sooner, not with a championship, but just with, winning the series over John Cena. Obviously, we're going to talk about Owens here in a little bit, but that's why Sam and I have always kind of tried to make people laugh a little bit more, only because, guys, it's made listen, I do a lot of these shows, probably more than I should, especially when I'm doing it for free. And I know I probably annoy a hell of a lot of you guys. But the reason why we take the comedy route and not this like I know it all expert route is I don't sit at home and question every single thing that I see on television when it comes to wrestling, or on the internet when it comes to wrestling. I don't go on dirt sheets. I don't care what this person's saying. I don't care what that person's saying. I watch the program, and if I don't like something, I hit fast forward. If we like, and it's and it again, it makes it more enjoyable because it gives us feeder for comedy. We're enjoying it like it's supposed to be. Like, I'm watching wrestling like I'm watching The Walking Dead, and I know that people don't like that, but it's a living, breathing story that's constantly evolving and changing on a day-to-day basis. This is not a sport like the NFL, like the NBA. I understand there's comparisons, but guys, again, it's more story than it is substance, really, in a way. If you want straight wrestling, there's independence for that. WWE is something completely different, and I'm only using WWE, and I'm not trying to defend WWE, but the reason why I'm saying that is because it's the most watched, it's the biggest, they're the kings. Let's just keep it 100, but because it seems like they get the most unfair arrows shot at them. We all love the indies. We all praise the indies, and I'll always praise the indies. And if you don't, go out and hit up your local independent wrestling organizations. Please support your indie leagues. Please, please, please. And that's the point, though, is there's something for everybody. And to kind of be critical about this, or go on a soapbox about how this company sucks and professional wrestling is dead. This right now, it feels more alive than it ever has for me.
Correct.
And I enjoy it more now than I ever have, to the point where I'm doing 4 bleeping shows today. 4. Ain't nobody want to hear from me 4 times today, but I'm doing 4 shows today, and I couldn't have done this, and I couldn't have done this in my 20s. And this is my last point on this, and where I'm going to make a lot of enemies. I don't have an ego anymore. And I mean that in a way that, listen, when you're in your 20s, whether you want to admit it or not, you have an ego, and you think your way is the right way. It's the only way. And you know what? That's fine and dandy. Good for you 20-year-olds out there. That's good. That's why I never really kind of shoot on you guys. It's be as cocky as you want. Say that WWE sucks and you can book better. That's fine. Because once you hit your 30s and you have a family, and you realize, and you really start to see the big picture in life, and you realize, oh, I'm an adult. Once you start adulting, you'll realize, you couldn't even attempt to book for WWE. So, and your guy doesn't have to be on top all the time either. And I did not mean for that to sound in any way sexual, but back to you, Josh.
My last thing is on this topic, like, at least for cuts to this show, or whatever it came to my old radio show. I guess I think you agree with me on this, and like, I think the wrestling, like, media, like, landscape, whatever you want to call it, so diluted, where everybody's saying the same things in the same format, in the same style, in the same tone, same narratives, same terms. I'm not saying every podcast, not every single podcast, because there's podcasts that are worth listening to, like the show Adam's on with Matt on the Pipe Bomb with the Cool Company. My good friend Stat Guy Gray from Cheat Heat. Those guys are really good. And of course, Adam's show with Sam, Wrestling With. Like, there are good shows that have fun and just have conversational, not just a bitch fest for 2 hours, or depending on how long these shows are. But I guess for me is that I was telling Adam about this before we came on air today. Like, we do the show. We record these shows on Wednesdays, depending on where when are you listening to this. And by the way, thank you for listening to this show. It's a challenge at times for me to come up with my thoughts with what's going on, because like, I'll listen to podcasts and I already hear what everybody's thoughts on certain topics is. So how can I come up with something different that's already been said 100 times beforehand? And I guess that's the fun part about doing this show, because it's a challenge and I embrace it. But at the same time, I'm spending good time with a brother who's a big wrestling fan, and we get to shoot this shit.
And you know what, Josh? And no, absolutely. And that's the thing. I've met so many good people now through wrestling, and this is something that it was great. knowing it. Listen, because growing up, you're always known as like the wrestling guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're a wrestling fan, you know that you're typecasted by your family and friends as, oh, it's the wrestling guy, and you're told a million times, oh, you know, it's not real, right? It's like, all right, whatever. Like we haven't heard this before. You know what? I want to ask you a question, Josh, because I wanted to see if you think that this is maybe where a disconnect is coming in. Really up until now, and think about why the Attitude Era was so important. Think about the 80s, the stars that were big, some of the stars, not all of them, but the stars that were big like Hulk Hogan, you know, like think about it. It was image. It was because he was big, muscular, right? Tan. It was the image. It was just ridiculous is what it was.
Yeah.
But in the 90s, you had a little bit, it was over sexualized, or it was over gore, you know, it was a little bit overly gory. In a way, I think that there's a disconnect now, because we went from, there was many decades where the people that pro wrestling fans that remain pro wrestling fans typically were jocks.
Yes.
Now it's not the case. It's a wide variety of people that have not, it's men, it's women, it's not just, okay, well, it's some guy, as the running joke, like Colin Cowherd would say, it's just some booger picker sitting in his parents' car. You know, it's no, that's not the case. You have, I mean, men, women, I mean, children, I mean, you have just people that have been watching this, but people that aren't jocks, people that aren't meatheads, people that aren't muscle steroid freaks, people that appreciate the other side of things, people that appreciate production, people that appreciate the storytelling, people that appreciate, and I think that rubs a lot of industry people that think the only true story is told inside the ring through the match, which I understand, and there's part of me that agrees with that. But I think that now in today's age, we have to understand that that's never going to fly. We need that soap opera, that comic book feel to it. We need that added layer. We need these characters, and we need the reality feel and that human touch that we see out of all these. Right before we came on air, I watched a video of Metal Injection did it. It's a great video. They interviewed a bunch of wrestlers at the 2K17 premiere, and they were just asking them their favorite metal bands. I think they did like Miz, Big Cass, Goldberg, Lesnar. It was awesome watching these guys talk about, Nakamura, just talk about like what metal bands and stuff like that they listen to, you know. And a lot of people don't like that though. You know, they want it to be the old kayfabe where it's 100% kayfabe all the time. It's a different era, you know. And I just think it is more for the people now, and it kind of ostracized those people that, the jocks, that it was always kind of like our little niche thing that only our subculture, like the subculture has grown and there's resistance now.
Yeah. Let's get into Monday Night Raw. This week's Raw was in Houston, Texas. Houston, I think, got announced again for no, my bad. Dallas is getting TLC. Never mind. But Raw was in Houston this week. We had a big fatal four-way match that we were previewing last week. We had Seth Rollins, Big Cass, Roman Reigns, and Kevin Owens. And that was the story of the show. We had vignettes for all four guys before the match started, which I thought was cool. Let's start off at least with the opening segment before we get to the match and everything that happened. First off, with the opening segment, what was your thoughts on that? I thought Cass really stood out the most from everybody in that opening segment, at least from my point of view, without having Enzo there. But what was your thoughts on the opening segment?
Yeah, man, dude. I feel like you're setting me up to make a lot of enemies today. Listen, here's what I really liked about the opening segment, and to piggyback off what you said about Cass, if I were WWE, I would not split them up, but Enzo and Cass would be singles competitors. They would not be in a tag team. I think Enzo needs to be working as a singles competitor right now. He made Roman Reigns look like me. Okay. I mean, this dude is enormous. This is everything that they always talk about a look, right? He looks like a larger version of Edge in a lot of ways. Like, I mean, there's even sometimes if you look at him in a glance, he kind of looks like Edge, you know? So he just looks like just a bigger, meaner, you know, version of Edge. And those kicks he was hitting Reigns with once we talk about the match, I mean, it's just like, listen, he's ready, and I'm so happy for Cass because, you know, and I said this a couple of times, but when ESPN did that E60 special on NXT and developmental and everything, and he was talking about like he was almost on a chopping block, and you know he didn't know if they were really going to make it. So it's really good to see him now. Like a lot of us are saying, absolutely, we can see him be a world champion. Mm-hmm. So I think the opening segment, Cass definitely stood out, but so did Kevin Owens. So did Kevin Owens. But I want to say that I also liked what they did with Roman Reigns, because what I always liked about Roman Reigns in the Shield was his first line ever. When I have something important to say, I'll say it. And he stayed quiet. He didn't really say much. Short and sweet with Roman Reigns is what's most effective. Dude,
Yeah.
I thought the opening segment had me so fired up for the end of Raw. We actually were like only 20 minutes behind or 10 minutes behind for like, usually we don't finish watching like 2 a.m, but yeah, we were actually like quasi live this week, and it was really because of the men that were in that final match and how they set it up at the beginning.
Yeah, and I also like the little like back behind the scenes promos they had when they were walking into the building before the show even started. I liked those two. It was funny. Cass was like, you would have 0 dimes or whatever if he if he counted the number of feelings he had or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was gold.
You know what? And it was, and I really liked that they showed Enzo backstage too, watching Cass compete. Little things that they're doing right now, and that's what I mean, guys. I know there's a lot of criticisms for the product, but if you look at all the little things that they're giving us, the things that they're trying on both shows, this is a really good time. It's just certain things aren't going to work. It's a learning process. You know what I mean? You got to throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks. That's all. But yeah, man, the backstage segments were a nice added touch. It sure, was it filler? Yeah. But at the same time, I felt like it was important filler. Filler is okay if it's not regurgitated and if it's not if it tells a short, simple story.
Here's my thing. I don't think it's filler, even though it's content for the YouTube channel. I mean, it's just marketing. I mean, they like the NFL has like player interviews before a game starts when they walk into an arena or something like that. I never seen that as filler or stuff like that. But I get what you're coming from.
Oh no, you know what? And I'm sorry, brother. I was thinking about the little vignettes they were showing during Raw.
No, I thought those were fine. Hey, I know a lot of people say that there should be more vignettes for a lot of guys.
I agree.
I'll say this: one of the best parts about covering the Cruiserweight Classic is the fact that there's vignettes for every guy after every match. So not only do you get to know their backstory, but they get like, let's say like we're in the second round right now, right? So now we're getting opinions from guys about how, like, what's their strategy going forward towards the tournament and their thoughts on other opponents like that. By the way, I have an idea for Raw after the match. After we're done talking about the Owens match, I want to leave that to the side for now. But other things from Raw that stood out for me: Jericho and Neville. That was a great match. Jericho using the Lion Tamer is always cool to see on television.
Oh, it's so good.
Those guys got tremendous chemistry. And once again, Y2J killing it with Tom Phillips in the backstage area.
He called him Felipe.
Yeah, he did call him Felipe.
I love that he was. I love that he was like, "Let me guess it," and he was like, "No, you stupid idiot! It wouldn't even make any sense." It was so perfect. It was so perfect because it's like everyone was waiting for it.
Correct. Also, I thought, we had this best of 7 series with Sheamus and Cesaro, and I guess it makes sense to have Sheamus off the bat with a 2-0 lead. You know what I mean? If they were going to drag this out, it did make sense. I do like the fact they're not doing it every week. They do it like every other week. That back body drop, though, on the ring post, that was kind of nasty.
I'll admit I kind of skipped through this match because we started a little late and I wanted to make sure we finished right around the time. I didn't want any spoilers, so maybe some Raw got sacrificed. Just the matches. And honestly, I'll admit, I am so disinterested in this best of 7 that it's not even funny. I think that they're setting, I don't think this is intentional. I'm not saying this but they're setting, in my opinion, they're setting Cesaro up to fail with this. That like Cesaro finally had a lot of steam behind him. And my fear was that this was going to do him no favors. And I still don't think it is.
We had the couple of squash matches as well. I wanted to say though, the one Americo, I think it was his name, that's Braun Strowman. It was the love child of Max Moon and Jushin Thunder Liger.
I'm so glad they made a Max Moon reference. This is how great these, and I'm not a fan of these squash matches. I listen, I like them if they're like a couple times. Once they start running like too long, it's like, all right, give them somebody. Like I thought they did it for Ryback for way too long. Here's what I love out of it though, and this is where guys sometimes, even if you don't disagree with something, you got to find something that's fun about it. I placed that WWE Supercard. I may or may not play that. I have a little addiction. And this week's like little thing where like sometimes, long story short, you play against like another thing and who. You can either win a card. And this week it is Braun Strowman. You could either play for Braun Strowman and win Braun Strowman, or it's local talent. And it's just a silhouette on a card. And the stats are like Braun Strowman stats are like in the like 2000s or something crazy. And like local talent is like 80 or something. And like you go online and everyone's like, yo, I'm definitely getting that local talent card. It's the funniest thing, man. So like, okay, like, all right, maybe I'm getting tired and I'm kind of like somewhat over these like squash matches too. But at the same time, look at the comedy it's giving me on the side. So I ain't even mad at him for it. Keep going, Braun. Do your thing.
But the best part about these squash matches, at least for Braun's side, is the fact that the promos these guys are cutting are either so over the top bad it's hilarious. Like Johnny Knockout, like, oh god.
I'll never
Only
forget
reason
that.
wants to fight him because he likes big sweaty men. Like, come on,
That was
bro.
the greatest. I'm serious. I just want to know the backstory to that so much. But I think this is good for Strowman though, because this is a good way to kind of shed him of the Wyatt family skin and really show like, and I know it's gone on for about a month now and it's gone on longer than even I would have liked. Like they could even throw anybody in there, I guess, and have them. But you know what, in the new era though, too, you really don't want to hurt anybody. So I guess I understand why they're doing it. But I do like, I want to say like, I'm glad that they're doing something with Braun because I wasn't really feeling him in the Wyatt family whatsoever. His look now is so much better. And I think like he does kind of have a baby face to him, you know what I mean? But the way he's shaved up and everything like that, he looks mean as hell. So I'm really behind Strowman right now.
I would say the same thing for Nia, but there's just no vibe to it. Like, yeah, the camera angles they have for her during her entrance is cool or whatever, but there's like this nothing to it. Like, she doesn't even talk anymore after the promos. Like, you still don't really know that much about her. Why is she here? I
agree.
That's going with Nia because she's good, especially for a girl her size and. I know she doesn't do planchas and stuff like Sasha Banks, but the girl for her size, she can wrestle, which is unfortunate.
See, I love Nia Jax. I'm in one of the. I think I'm in the few like the minority, but I love Nia Jax. But I think where it isn't working for her is Strowman was established before, at least to the main roster fans, you know, to the Raw and SmackDown fans.
Yeah.
They already knew who Braun Strowman was, so they understood it was just a repackaging. And I think fans understand that they want to get used to the new character. With Nia Jax just coming up, I think, you know, a lot of people are saying basically, okay, so why are all these other women wrestling against each other, but she's the only one and looks to be who could be the biggest threat to Charlotte. You know, she's constantly wrestling local talent. So I think that Nia, especially, I agree with you, Josh. I don't think it's, you know, it's not just like Cesaro in the best of 7. I don't think this is doing Nia Jax any favors yet. We need to see her in a program with somebody like maybe an Alicia Fox.
Did you watch any of the Major League movies?
Yeah. I'm ancient. Yeah, of course.
Do you remember the Randy Quaid and the fans in the outfield? You overpaid bums. You overpaid weenies.
Yeah.
Back up the truck. Let's turn this place into a parking lot. I think we need to get the bulldozers here for this Darren Young and Titus O'Neil thing. Let's back it up. Back it up.
Yeah, I'm starting to get almost as upset as when in Major League they had to recast Willie Mays Hayes because Wesley Snipes thought he got too big. So, what's Snipes? But anyway, so I don't know where they're going with Backlund, and I'm still trying to stay patient with it just because I love Bob Backlund. Because he's hysterical. I'm really trying to like watch my language here, guys. But and I'm a huge fan of Darren Young too. This doesn't seem like it started off comical and now it seems forced. And I don't. I'm not. But I want it to work. So I hope that it does work.
The only reason I brought up the Major League reference because those fans in the outfield remind me of wrestling fans.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You overpay and then they start getting celebrated towards the end.
I don't know if you've seen Randy Quaid lately, but Randy Quaid lately reminds me of wrestling fans. If you haven't, Google some of his recent stuff because he's
yeah,
we'll leave that for a different time.
Oh boy. Yeah, by the way, we should get bulldozers in Cleveland. It's a dump. But that's here and there.
I can't say. Being from Pittsburgh, that's gonna sound so homer if I say that, because I've probably had more good times in Cleveland than in Pittsburgh. They used to get more concerts and stuff for the longest time. Nobody came here for a while, so it's whatever. I used to go up there.
I get visually ill when I have to see the Bears play the Browns every preseason in Cleveland.
I guess because I like orange, it doesn't bother me. I don't know. I hate the Steelers. Fine. I hate the Steelers. So I've always secretly liked every Steeler like rival, and it's whatever.
Shout out to Timmy Kenneth. I think I got his name right in the chat room. Thanks for checking out the show, my man.
I miss Timmy. I got to get a hold of Timmy. I guess this is where I should tell. Well, no, I'll talk to Timmy after the fact.
All right. By the way, guys, if you have any questions for us, please put it in the chat room. Let's hear from you guys. By the way, let's get into this. Let's get into this main event. There were so many scenarios that were thrown out over the past week of what could happen, what should happen, and this and that. I think, and I'm going to tie this. Actually, I'm going to say that for later. I was going to bring something about Roman Reigns, but I want to save that for later. But I think we were in agreement last week that Kevin Owens should have won, mainly because you got really nothing to lose, and it's something out of the box for the fall season, and this. You couldn't write it any better of how they played out, especially if you know the backstory with Triple H and Kevin Owens. Now, here's the thing. Everybody's saying, oh, we got a red flag out now. There's a red flag because, it's all going to be about the Authority 2.0. It's not going to be about Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is going to be overshadowed by Triple H, and this is all around to make Triple H look good, and we're going to go back to the same old. But here's my thing. We had a special moment on Monday night when Kevin won and how that whole scenario played out. I want to give a big shout out to that Houston crowd who played as big of a part of that match than what was going on in the ring. The match was awesome. I'm not saying it was a bad match or anything like that. It was awesome. I thought the sequences that Roman and Rollins had were really good. Again, Roman shows that he could wrestle again. Big Cass had a really big outing for his first major match. And Kevin's the man. It's funny, he's walking back in the ring all days and looked, and then he did cannonballs to Rollins and Reigns. He saw that look, he was like, but either way, we had Roman take Rollins out to ringside, right? Out comes Triple H from out of nowhere, banned from behind. He drops Roman Reigns with a pedigree. Now, here's the thing, though. Everything that happened with Reigns and Triple H and Rollins could have happened at two different pay-per-views, but it all happened on one night. He got his revenge on Roman and the pedigree that night. He cost him the title. And then he cost his Seth Rollins the title, where we thought that could have happened a different time. I don't know how he could have written out any better than it was last night. No, on Monday night, but it was awesome. I was getting legitimately excited, and this is one of the first major special moments in the reality era since Punk left. So, congrats out to Kevin Owens for becoming the Universal Champion, and it was awesome. I got nothing else to say.
Yeah, listen, in my opinion, they couldn't have played it any more perfect. I brought this up, and I keep bringing this up, but the timing that they had with Triple H, I don't know where he was hiding, because there was no crowd reaction until really he was a split second before he hit camera. So the timing that way was perfect, because it wasn't ruined by oh wait, why is the crowd starting to roar a little bit? You could hear that rumble. You couldn't hear anything. Then all of a sudden Triple H was on the screen, and as soon as he hit Roman with the pedigree, I looked at Sam. I went, he's hitting Seth too. This is over, and it's finally happening. And I think this is what we all wanted. We all wanted this. I think there's a lot of us that thought we were going to get this with Balor. I thought we were going to get it the Monday night on Raw. You know, when I thought Triple H was coming back to pedigree Rollins, it was happening soon, much sooner than later. But the way they played it out, I thought couldn't have been better. They knew that the fans were going to be behind Kevin Owens. Owens got the loudest pop out of all four men. Houston, I do have a special place in my heart for you. WrestleMania 25, I found out I was going to be a father that night as I was leaving your Reliant Stadium. So thank you for also representing on this night, because this was a special moment. This was a moment that my daughter loved. She marked out for it because she went crazy when Triple H came back. Then the pedigree to Roman, then to Seth. She was like, but why would he pedigree Seth? She was all running around crazy like when we showed her. And and for us, it brought back that, you know what, I feel like I'm a kid again. You know, I hoped and I thought in the back of my mind, like, okay, we're going to see Hunter tonight, you know, but when it actually happened, and then you're just kind of waiting for it, they have you on the line and you're just waiting for the hammer to drop, or I guess the sledgehammer to drop in this point.
Yeah.
You know, that's to me as a fan, that's the payoff. After a while, when we watch this stuff, guys, and the reason why I brought up being jaded, you know, with this stuff, because if you do watch this for any length of period of time of your life, you're going to start to see things that are somewhat copycat, because it's very hard to find originality in something that's been done so many times in so many different places. But when you can pull the wool over somebody's, even when they know it might be coming, and even when you know a superstar's presence is there, and you know that there's going to be a double turn, when you know in your heart of hearts there's going to be a double turn, and you're just waiting for it to happen, and you still pop when it happens. That's, to me, why I love this. That's why I fell in love with the art of professional wrestling. I fell in love with just, you look at the overall, to bookend this match from the beginning to the entrances. I'm big on production. I'm big on the theatrics. I'm big on entrances. When the guys came out, I love the new Raw stage setup. It felt like a big time match. You had all four big time players, love them, hate them, whatever. It was four major players in WWE. Having it as an elimination match just added it on more for the fans. And as we're going through now, we have a quick double turn at the end. We have the champion that we all want in a heel manner. And I disagree completely with everybody that says this is going back to an authority versus blah, 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 because it's not. Seth Rollins is not going after the title right now. It's going to be him and Triple H. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, maybe he gets a quick rematch, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens coming up. I don't think this is I think it looked like Triple H had some sort of he didn't seem to be that thrilled with Mick Foley or his own wife, so to speak. Like, they're giving off some sort of friction vibe there. So I don't think this is going to be Authority 2.0 at all. I think people are already overlooking a scenario. Instead of just drinking it in, man, we have to instantly start criticizing, well, this is where it's going to go. Just appreciate the moment. And I mean, I've watched that probably 20 times now. And it's been a long time since there's been a moment in wrestling, probably since Rollins cashed in at WrestleMania, since I've gone back and watched something like over and over and over, to hear that crowd pop, to hear the roar of the crowd, to see the emotion on the athletes' faces, to see, like, you could tell that Kevin Owens, like, regardless, like, you know, he knew it was coming. You could just tell that he was overcome with emotion. This is why I love this stuff, guys. It's not because, like, I want my guy to be the top guy, or I think I know it all. It's because it's these moments that I'll never forget, that I share with whomever is in my life at that time. But this is one I got to share with my wife and my daughter, and it's and everybody that, you know, that I do shows with. And this was special. As a fan, this was special. And all the Kevin Owens critics out there can suck it.
When I first saw Kevin Owens and Triple H on screen with each other last year, I wasn't out of the way saying, "Oh, put the title on Owens now and start this whole thing with Triple H thing right now." It's gone over time, and I know people are kind of antsy to get Kevin Owens automatically a world championship when he came up from NXT last year, but a case in point here is it's why you let things play out and have these special moments happen. He was the Intercontinental champion. he beat John Cena his first match in WWE. That's not being buried. That's not being held back. You know, I can know a lot of other Ring of Honor guys that would wish to have one opportunity to at least hold the Intercontinental Championship their first year on the main roster, let alone beating John Cena cleanly. So if you would ask Kevin Owens, he would tell you that he's enjoying his time with the company right now. He doesn't feel being held back.
And what I liked, real quick, Josh, what I liked about this too was, listen, they don't necessarily even have to put Kevin Owens and Triple H together. They can or they can't. And that's what's great about this on why we have to tune in next week, right? Because they've constantly left little breadcrumb, like a breadcrumb trail for us that Triple H and Kevin Owens have this mutual respect for one another, right? The entire time Triple H is gone, Kevin Owens keeps saying, well, if Hunter was around, or you guys don't appreciate me, or this was kind of, there was a running theme with this. Now, this could be, maybe there is an alliance here, or maybe this was, this could just be something as simple as, you know what, the entire time I was gone, Seth, you were, what happened to you? You were fragile, you're weak, you broke, which obviously, guys, I don't think that would just be a hell of a promo. And you could say Kevin Owens is a prize fighter. He's tough as nails. He's never been injured. Like, you look at what he's done, blah, blah, blah. The story you could build with Triple H and Kevin Owens versus, Stephanie not seeing that, or Mick Foley not seeing that. I think there's going to be more of a dynamic there versus an Authority 2.0. And again, that's why I like going in and not trying to, when I fantasy book, Josh, you notice when we fantasy book for like, I'd love to see this happen, or wouldn't it be cool if they went this route? Or we don't sit here and try to play, this is how they should go because this is the only way it would make sense, and we know better, blah, blah, blah. I'm wearing a tie. So
yeah, I'll be the homer here. Hey, I got an Owens shirt on right now. So.
Nice. I thought about getting masking tape and putting KO on a black t-shirt for the show. But then I realized I don't have any masking tape, so it wouldn't have made any sense.
Yeah.
Put in black tape on a black shirt.
Tim put a good point in the chat room. Survivor Series is going to be in Toronto this year. So that's would be pretty cool for, at least for KO too. I'm going to say this though. I couldn't agree with you more. I don't know why we always have to play, we know how this should go. And if it doesn't happen, hashtag WWE logic. Right. Because if my source is not right on this, it's WWE logic. We could go all day on that. But I want to say this really quick. You bring up a good point about how Triple H could be like, you let me down. You were supposed to carry this company into WrestleMania this year, but you got injured, and I was forced to take on a guy who can't even handle himself in a proper context, like the whole suspension thing. And then I brought in you and Roman into this company, and you guys have been failures since then. And then you can talk about how he, in a way, was left out of the whole draft. Like, we had the segment from Payback in Chicago where it was Stephanie, Shane, and Vince. And Triple H was not involved in that. He wasn't involved in the draft. You didn't hear, besides social media, where this is just his real opinion, not his character. What was the Triple H character thoughts on, Shane and Stephanie taking guys from NXT away? You know what I mean? No, I'm not expecting some NXT invasion thing because it wouldn't make sense. Dude, if you really think about it, the TakeOver Brooklyn card from last year features 80% of the main roster right now, if you think about it. Right. With exception of Samoa Joe and who else? The Revival or Blake and Murphy.
Yeah. It's few and far between. And you know what? Here's one thing about with Triple H. I know Triple H doesn't like the internet and doesn't like internet fans and stuff like that. But or just, and then there's just a lot of resentment, guys. If you would have had to have had like 2 years worth of punishment because of somebody leaked the video of the Click doing a thing, having like the swan song, you'd probably be pretty upset too.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing that we have to separate is Triple H, because I'm a big Triple H mark anyway. I don't care. I love Paul Levesque. I think he's brilliant. I have the utmost respect for him. But I think that we need to separate Triple H the character and Triple H the person, because Triple H the person, we know, we love, he runs NXT. Triple H the character has an obsession with the championship. That's something that we have to always remember. And it's, when Max Landis did that satirical piece called Wrestling Isn't Wrestling, and he really kind of laid out the story of Triple H being, this character that has always just been infatuated with the title. And even if he didn't have the title, he wanted to make sure he was in control of who had the title. This is kind of the similar scenario. It's just about, once again, the Triple H character coming back. And I don't know if they'll tie in anything with NXT or not, but I do like that this is once again Triple H. And I know people don't like that, but again, this is what Triple H does. The Triple H character in the WWE universe has more of an infatuation with championship gold than anything else.
Yeah, and I wonder, that's the best part about what happened on Monday. You got to see where it goes from here, and I'm not going to put any guarantees out there. I just want to see what happens and then go from there. And it's crazy, nothing has been even announced for Clash of Champions. Well, I'm not surprised by that. Since SummerSlam, they have a 5-week build towards that Raw pay-per-view. So I guess they would get things going next week's show. So, like I said, let it play out, see what happens. I really don't like when we have special moments and then people always got to turn into a glass half empty conversation about things that we don't even know whether it's going to happen or not. That's my issue.
That's because people don't like to see people happy, Josh. And at the end of the day, if there's people that sit at home and they're miserable, and wrestling Twitter, because I was somewhat caught up, I was able to at least get on Twitter. People were, this is the happiest I've seen wrestling Twitter in the longest time. It seemed like everybody was finally together, joining hands, singing like Hands Across America and stuff. Like it was like 1985.
Yeah.
So, but you're gonna have those people out there that are instantly gonna go, well, then where did it go from here? Who fucking cares? And I'm part of my language with that, but that's really the only thing that I can really say, because that's almost like saying, okay, my Penguins won the Stanley Cup, and as they're carrying the cup around the ice, oh, that sucks, we're not going to win it next year. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Be in the moment. Don't worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. We're always so fixated on what happens next that we forget about what's happening in the present. And we do that with wrestling. We do that with everyday life. We do that with our families. We do that with our friends. There's a famous quote from a movie: if you don't stop and take a look around every once in a while, you might miss something. And I feel like a lot of people miss something a lot of times because they're too busy trying to think ahead and trying to outthink other people and trying to be the first one to say this or the first one to have this idea, instead of just sitting back and appreciating and enjoying a moment.
Congrats again to Kevin Owens, the new WWE Universal Champion. It's a pretty cool moment. Raw's having a house show here in Chicago on September 24th.
Yeah, you are.
At the Rosemont Horizon, as I call it. The sponsors can call it the Allstate Arena, but it's the Rosemont Horizon. But either way, it was announced on Monday. I was walking around the neighborhood to catch up on some exercise and stuff. They announced that Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton is going to have a rematch at the Rosemont Horizon. I'll be there. Everybody knows my opinions on Brock Lesnar. We don't need to repeat that again, because I just like how people die out the Roman Reigns hate conversations every podcast. I don't want to talk about Brock Lesnar every single week. I just don't. But I'll be there. I'll support Randy Orton. I don't know why this match is happening. but whatever. It's not going to take away my enjoyment from going to the show because I'll have Kevin Owens there. I'll have Chris Jericho there. There's going to be a bunch of other matches that are going to be on. That'll probably be better than that match in general. So, okay, big deal. Brock and Orton is happening in Chicago, but I don't know. I'm not losing sleep over it because I know there's other matches on that show that's going to be 10 times better than that. And I'm still going to be supporting Randy Orton. And until Brock Lesnar goes away, it's always going to be hashtag punt the beast.
And you know what? It's going to be basically just furthering a storyline for Lesnar versus Shane. You know, something will happen. Something will be screwy. It's at a live event, so not as many, you know, if Lesnar does take a loss or Lesnar ends up getting, Lesnar ends up not even taking a loss in the match, but if he ends up, not going over, if people understand what I mean. You're not hurting him in a way because it's at a live event. Only your hardcore wrestling fans are going to see it. You could probably put it on Facebook Live, draw social media attention that way. This is just really just getting extra eyes on WWE in the fall season where we typically, you know, we all gripe about, here comes the fall season. Like, I don't, you don't, but you know, that's always the, well, but you know, the fall season. Well, you know what? Here's something else that they're giving us in the fall season. Right? I mean, this is something special, something unique. Do I care about it? No. But at the same time, you know what? It is giving us something to talk about, you know, once it comes around that time. And I'm sure there'll be something that we're going to be able to take out of it that might lead us in a direction where we could care about the Brock Lesnar character. Because right now, I'm with you, Josh. I don't care about the Brock Lesnar character, and I'm not going to beat that to a dead horse. But maybe something happens at a live event that not only one will tell people, man, I have to start. You want to give live events that feeling of that they can't miss too, right? Just like anything else, you got to make people feel like they have to be there. And two, there's a lot of ways that you could draw social media attention through Facebook Live, through advance a storyline. I'll admit, at first I was like, why are they wasting a Lesnar appearance in, you know, at a house show, you know, basically, but it's Chicago, so it makes sense. Yeah. I hate to say it, like, and I know I'm gonna, a Chicago house show, guys, is probably a lot more important than a lot of Raws or SmackDowns televised in certain cities in this country. I'm sorry. I guess
like Lincoln, Nebraska for SmackDown next week.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I won't say much. If it was Omaha, Nebraska, I'd defend them because that's where 311's from. But Lincoln, Nebraska, I ain't got nothing for you.
311 is really good. Coach, I like playing a lot of their songs on the guitar. 311 is the shit. All right, Chicago house show. It'll be fun. Good thing though, probably Kevin Owens or somebody will be in the main event of that show, so I ain't gonna lose sleep over it. It's gonna be fun either way. The house shows in Chicago are always a lot of fun, even for like Christmas shows. Like we've been having a lot of Christmas shows here, and it's cool to see like family entertainment. They are kind of a little more goofy on these house shows, and even though there's still good action there, it's a good family time for Christmas house shows. So if you guys ever have a Christmas house show in your local area, go check it out. It's pretty cool. All right, let me ask you something, brother. Did you get to see SmackDown last night or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you this really quick.
I know. I already know where this is going. At least I think I know where this is going. What happened where Dean Ambrose is getting more hate than Roman Reigns has in the last 5 months? Can you explain that to me? All right. You know what? I'll admit that's a really good question because I personally really this year haven't been. Something happened along the way where they lost me with Dean Ambrose, and that's not Dean Ambrose's fault. They just somewhere along the way the character got lost in the shuffle for me. And it's not that I'm not happy that he's a champion. I am. It's just that they're not making, everyone kept saying they're not making Rollins a strong champion. I totally disagree. He was supposed to be a chicken shit heel that tucked his tail between his legs that needed help. He was playing that, he was supposed to be Edge meets, I don't know, he was Ultimate Opportunist meets. But I mean, he was supposed to be a mixture of a bunch of guys like that are going to find a way to keep that championship regardless. And that's, to me, that's not being any kind of cowardly. I mean, that's called protecting your investment. But if you're a champion, you do the same thing. All right.
Yeah.
No, but I think what they're doing with Ambrose, even with his matchups, as much as we love Ziggler and as much as I was trying to give that match the benefit of the doubt, I don't think any of us really cared at the end of the day. They're not giving Ambrose, I don't think. I mean, are they telling a story with him? Sure. But I don't know if they're like last night, him versus Baron Corbin. I make no bones about it. I do not watch Baron Corbin segments, so I didn't watch the last 25 minutes of SmackDown. And it's not, I watched the very end, where him and AJ and Ambrose kind of got tied up or whatever. But I just think that it's because everybody wanted Ambrose to be a champion. It's another one of those where it's all about the chase. But then once you get the title on him, where do you go from here? And as a face, Dean Ambrose, I don't think was ever going to go. There was no longevity with him as a face. You need him to be this loose cannon. You need him to not to be more Moxley-esque, which he's being. You need him to be more Dean Ambrose. You need him to be more himself, not prop boy that's coming to the ring with like mannequins and a vase with a plant. And like it was funny, but he's better than that.
Let me ask you this. Would people be saying the same thing right now if Ambrose was still a heel after the Shield broke up?
I mean, that's an impossible question, I think, to answer, only because when the journey from there till now would have been so different. It would have. I think he should have stayed as gray as possible. I don't like when Ambrose panders to the fans. I guess that's where I'm at. Now that he's kind of given the fans kickback, I like what I'm seeing out of him more. He's a more believable champion now, but they should have done, I feel like this should have been happening before he got the championship, just because I don't think Dean Ambrose that came in with the Shield would have never been pandering to the fans. But at the same time, he's also matured as a person, so maybe he wants different things as a wrestler. I don't know, man. What's your take on it, man?
I don't get it. I really don't. Do I feel like he's where he should be right now? No, I feel he should be a bad guy, but that's me. It's just weird. Like besides Seth Rollins, like all the fans have turned on every other member of the Shield for one reason or another. I'll say this though. I know you didn't watch the match since you're not a Corbin guy, but since I was the one that had to transcribe it last night, it wasn't that bad actually. It was one of Corbin's better outings, to be honest with you. Corbin got into the face of AJ Styles for like 2 minutes. I thought they were about to go. Styles like, "You better get out of my face, boy." I was like, "Oh no, here we go." Corbin's like, "You don't tell me what to do." I thought that was a pretty funny exchange. But anyway, I don't know. It's just weird where like everybody wanted Ambrose to be the champion heading towards WrestleMania because nobody wanted Roman to be in the position he was heading into that WrestleMania, and it's just been a 180 after that. That's what I'm confused with.
It's one of those real quick before,
and he was doing as much goofy shit then than he was now.
Right. And real quick before I get talk back about Ambrose, I saw a meme last night dealing with Baron Corbin. It was the funniest thing ever. It was that saltine cracker that had a frowny face that Rhino made with the easy key, and it said "still more charisma than Baron Corbin," and it was I laughed. Because I saw the meme before I saw the skit, and then when I saw the skit, I was like, "Oh my god, that's so funny." I don't know how so saltine cracker now more over than Baron Corbin, but
that's funny.
No, you know what, man? I think that with Ambrose, I think that it was more about the chase. It was more anti-Roman too. It was like, I think there was you know what, you gave Roman an opportunity, you gave Seth an opportunity. And Josh, one thing I'll say is, don't, just because the fans haven't turned on Rollins yet, give them time, because Seth is the only one that hasn't had a face run yet. And in today's wrestling, if you're super baby face, or if you tend to pander to children or the fans, you get booed. It's society. We like anti-heroes.
Or you're labeled watered down.
Exactly. Listen,
and that's why when Rollins came back at Extreme Rules, everybody's like, "Oh, turn a face now. You better turn into a face." No.
It's gonna happen. And we need it to happen so that when he turns heel again, it's gonna be that much more effective.
But I just meant from that time period.
Right.
Him to be what he was, and then you can enjoy him becoming a face after.
Seth Rollins couldn't organically turn face just because of the fans, only because of it wouldn't make sense for his character, because his character, even though you could tell that there was always times where he would still show the fans respect in tongue-in-cheek ways. Look at the Slammies last year. Like, he was said, I almost kind of want to say thank you. And then he was like, but I knew that I was going to win this.
Yeah.
That was the way of saying, like, listen, guys, I appreciate it, but like, you can't have Rollins be the organic face turn. You needed Triple H to turn him face. You know what I mean? You needed that. But it's just funny because, again, like, it's one of those where we could say that fans didn't turn on him, but there was the crowd pop, right? Yeah. Rollins got dropped with a pedigree. If he truly was, if the fans were truly behind him, you'd think there'd be boos. But now, is Owens the guy now? I don't know. But this is why, Josh, I think this is so good right now. And the way that they're playing so many different wrestling fans against one another is that I think what they're doing is really, really brilliant right now.
You said earlier you thought I was going to go with a certain direction when I was talking about SmackDown. What was it?
No, you hit it dead on. I actually thought you were going to say. Right. So Baron Corbin wrestled Dean Ambrose last night. I thought, but it was more about Ambrose than Corbin. But I was like, this is just everybody hates Adam Day. That one guy.
No. Besides that, though, I thought SmackDown was solid last night, with the exception of that milkman thing with Kane. Every segment had something to do with some type of character development. Hell, even Mojo Rawley had me cracking up a little bit.
You know what? I will say this. I think that maybe there was more to. Yeah, the milkman thing was ridiculous, but maybe that was SmackDown trying to say, look, we could do it too. But I do think there was something to that, because there was a Kane Corbin pass that went by. So they're setting something up right there. So I think that if there's obviously there was even that segment.
I'll take that over Heidenreich 2.0 with Kalisto.
Yeah, man, that was bad. That was bad. We needed that to stop. But dude, I want to say, talking about the tag team stuff real quick, if we maybe can make a quick transition to that. Why the headbangers? Why? From somebody that was going to metal shows while the headbangers were relevant. Why? And then, dude, I am not there with Mojo Rawley at all. The dude drives me insane. I can't stand that character at all. And I know that's not. Obviously, guys, it's just turned up because it's a character and whatever. But I don't like that New Jersey bro kind of vibe, and I get it, the dude's from Boston or something like that, but they're playing that Jersey Shore bro thing, and it wasn't as bad when it was Ryder, but now when it's like, dude, where's my car? Like, dude, bro, dude, and I hate it because I hate that movie.
When you're best friends with a tight end who plays for the most heelish football organization in all of sports, you're just going to get that vibe from the guy.
I appreciate the New England Patriots heelish ways, though. As an Oakland Raiders fan, I tip my hat to two fellow heels, the New England Patriots.
Here's my thing. Like, I loved what happened with Heath Slater and Rhino yesterday. That stuff was gold, especially at the house. the little vignette with Renee. Did you see that?
Yes.
What was your thoughts on that?
I thought it was great. Listen, again, it's one of those like ridiculous little silly things that, people are going to overlook. People look too much into. Oh, but it's just why it was just supposed to be stupid and funny and satirical and like this is Heath Slater self-deprecating humor like 2016, and it's great. You know what I mean? I thought Rhino being like the straight comic, like not really saying anything, kind of being like Silent Bob was hysterical. It was like Jay and Silent Bob, man. And I thought it carried over really nicely on a Talking Smack, too, like where Rhino talked a little bit more. I like that they opened the doors there. But the segment for SmackDown, listen, yeah, it was ridiculous. But coming from somebody that lives in Western Pennsylvania, and I don't live too far from West Virginia, it's not far off from reality. So, hey, man, I ate some dinner before that was easy cheese and saltines. I ain't afraid to say it. No.
Oh man! All right. I'm gonna say
powdered milk and cheese, baby. No,
I'm gonna say this. I think what they're doing is fantasy booking wise is where Slater and Rhino will go all the way to the finals. I do think they'll beat the Hype Bros next week. I really do. I think Rhino's gonna gore the crap out of Mojo Rawley, which is kind of fitting because Rhino's gonna gore a former NFL player the week of football starts. So that would make sense.
Way to look at it. Okay.
But I could see here's the thing: unless the Usos are turning heel, there's no way they're being the American Alpha next week. I just don't see that happening. And it's crazy. Next week is going to be the last SmackDown before Backlash. But unless the Usos are turning heel, I see American Alpha going to the finals. And do you remember that match last year with American Alpha, Barry Corbin, and Rhino? That Dusty Classic thing?
Okay. Yeah.
That Rhino has good chemistry with American Alpha, so that's good to be some pretty good stuff. And Heath Slater can go.
It's a good point. It's tough to argue that point because I was actually looking at that and thinking that I thought in my head, okay, the Usos are definitely turning heel. Just because of the comments they made on Talking Smack, just because how they were kind of, which I like what they're doing with Talking Smack. Please, I want to put it out there. Obviously, like I really like what they're doing with it, but there was, kind of saying, oh, I think, a lot of what our popularity is because it's the anti-Roman crowd, blah, blah, blah. I want to see them kind of turn on the fans a little bit. So maybe they have to lose to the Hype Bros, and then that's where they start to say, you know what, screw the fans. It has to be about us again, or something to that effect. You know what? I was looking at a Slater Rhino Usos final with the Usos, probably going to end up running his heels. But dude, you brought up with the points that you brought up. I think you changed my mind with that. That's a really good call. When you have chemistry with somebody, it's you kind of sometimes want to keep that going. But again, that's what's great about this though too, is because we all think American Alpha is the shoe-in for this, but I'm sorry, American Alpha. I meant to say, but we all think American Alpha is the shoe-in, but this isn't. That might not be the case,
And even then, though, that gives American Alpha some sympathy, though, instead of automatically getting a title like Paige or, in this case, Bayley, in case I don't know what's going to happen with her and Charlotte. I don't want any hot potato crap with titles. They did that way too much for the Attitude Era, and that was their calling card. We're going to change the title, so that'll get us ratings every single week. I just thought it was too much, and it diluted those titles. For me, even if an American Alpha did lose and the Usos turn heel, I wouldn't be upset with that because it gives America Alpha being underdogs in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I don't know. With this being the first ever SmackDown Tag Team Champions, or however we're branding these, which again they're so smooth looking. I love that they're so silky smooth, but it almost seems too perfect for them to be setting American Alpha up for this, though. That's the only thing that's placing doubt in my mind. Is it almost seems like the sure bets this year were not sure bets whatsoever. And again, that whole WWE logic. Well, we sit here and we all use WWE logic. That's been so ingrained into our skull by not only Talking Heads but dirt sheets, but being honest, there was a time where there was a WWE logic. There was a distinct pattern that they followed. And they're not always following that pattern now, but I think that's what's making it great. And so even though it seems like American Alpha is almost a shoo-in because this was designed for them, how could you not, in a way, think that, like, okay, well, wait a minute. This makes more sense for Slater and Rhino to win just so that even if they dropped it 2 days later on SmackDown, and I know, again, playing hot potato with the titles, but at least then Slater would get his contract, What if Rhino just wanted that one tag team title, and then he doesn't really want to deal with Heath Slater anymore, and he just spears, gores him or whatever, I don't know. There's a lot of different directions they can go with this. Usos turning heel. I do think the Hype Bros are the odd man out, though.
I think either way, I do feel that Heath Slater and Rhino will be in the finals, and you'll get a emotional crowd invested for Heath Slater's underdog rebound right there, trying to get the titles. No matter who they're fighting, I think that'll happen. Because I remember going to Elimination Chamber pay-per-view in Milwaukee a few years ago, and Santino Marella had the crowd at the palm of his hands, but Daniel Bryan won that Elimination Chamber match.
Yep. Same thing happened with Santino in the Royal Rumble. And Santina at the Mrs. WrestleMania or Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal that was also in Houston. See, we're remaining topical to the wonderful city of Houston, Texas. That's for Tim that was shouting out earlier because he's a Houston fan with it seems. But you know what, man, I don't know. I don't know where they're going. But on real quick with the Raw Championship, how you said with Bayley, it's with Bailey, I don't want to see her win the title yet. Not because of a hot potato scenario, but more so that I want a slow build towards Bailey winning her first title. I think that's more important to me.
I'm glad you brought her up. Man, talk about not having a sense of humor. I was trying to stay off of Twitter last night because on Monday because again you see the same stuff over and over and over again, same tweets every time you watch a Monday Night Raw live, and I saw the thing with her and New Day and I loved it. I was like laughing my ass off. I thought it was great. And then you had the club with Dana Brooke, which sure makes Liz happy. It lightens her day. But I'm kidding. Shout out to Lost in Stereo Liz. Give her a follow on Twitter. It's all good.
Sam wasn't happy about it. I'll tell you that much. She was like, really? But we'll go ahead.
But what was up with the glove and stuff? They got that like porn related thing with the club. After they did the old fart thing, and then she came in with the glove and like, "What's up, boys?" I'm like, oh no.
The nurse, yeah. It was an interesting little pairing, and like I get it, and I know what you're hinting at on the Twitter war.
Yeah.
I have learned as a married man that when a argument between two wonderful ladies breaks out, you just kindly take 2 steps back and let them go until hair starts flying, and then you have to separate them. So I am not taking sides on that, but I will say I'll admit I was a little shocked by it. I was a little shocked that they decided to kind of toss Dana Brooke in with Gallows and Anderson. I thought it was good for the mixed tag, I don't want to say division, but I like the fact that they're going back to mixed tag matches. I do, because there's that way you can help build a male and female storyline at the same time. And they're not overdone. I actually dug the skit. I thought it was good comedy. It wasn't, it didn't have me in tears or anything like that, but it was funny. It was witty. And it's kind of been the stuff they've been doing now. I hope she doesn't stay like attached to them. Obviously, I hope this was a one-time thing. We'll leave it at that.
I saw somebody put a post saying that Bailey was having 5-star matches on NXT. Now she's doing WWE shenanigans. Hey, Nimrod, were you paying attention to her gimmick in NXT when she was marking out for other wrestlers in NXT before she even had those matches?
She has inflatable, whatever those car salesman things are. Whatever those things are, those things, like the inflatable skinny Adam Daly's. That's really just, if you stretched me out, that's how skinny I am. You just stretch, I'm full of hot air anyway. If you just stretched me out till I was like 20 foot tall, it's just a hot bag of air. Those things are flying around when she comes out, and you want to talk to me about not taking her serious? Come on, man. Yes, she has 5-star matches, but have you not paid attention to her character?
Come on, man. Come on, man.
I guess this is sometimes what frustrates me about wrestling, is that where we become so overly nitpicky. Like, this is where I feel like a lot of fans are going to turn on Bailey, and where I understand that she is absolutely going to be the female John Cena. She's going to be so over with that young demographic. She is going to be such a role model. And I mean, not that she already isn't, but now that she's on the main stage, she's going to be such a role model to so many little girls that are out there, to the point where, like, it's not like, listen, my wife hates Bailey. My wife makes it very well known. She is not a hugger.
That's documented.
It's documented pretty well, all over the place. But because it's it's almost as nauseating as listen, me and you love it, but CM Punk preaching the straight edge shit, right?
Yeah.
So, but in a way, it's too much when women watch it. They're like, oh God, no woman's that happy. But it's going to be so over with the kids. It's going to be so over with the Jesus. It's going to be so over with kids. It's going to be so. It's just one of those. I see what they mean by John Cena, but that's something we got to take into consideration, guys. I think a lot of us, Josh. I think people are starting to show that they really only watch Takeover. They don't really watch NXT.
Bingo. I've been saying it for a year and a half, and people look at me like I'm talking out of my ass.
The more and more people debut, and people go, well, I don't get it. Why are they this? Why are they that? Or why are they doing this? It's like, well, you obviously have never watched NXT. You watch Takeover. You don't watch NXT.
Why are the club dressed up as doctors and talking funny and doing comedy sticks? Have you heard them on Talking Jericho or any of the stuff they did on podcasts?
Because they're funny and they have personality. Yeah. That's why. And there's so many jokes. And again, guys, This is where I want to bring in we want the Attitude Era but crowd, okay?
Yeah.
Again, we don't want the Attitude Era where it's blood, TNA and gore and excessive language just because.
Hmm.
When we can get that tongue-in-cheek, witty humor that only adults are going to get, kids aren't going to get it, but us as adults are going to get it, like Gallows and Anderson do. That's what I want. That's because to me, it's smarter, it's more intelligent. It's and I know this is going to go over a lot of people's heads, but to all you dumb jocks out there, I know it goes. I know that a lot of times smart humor goes way over your head, and you need that potty humor. But smart humor is more effective humor.
Yes, it is. I'll definitely agree to that, my friend. Let's. We had a couple more people chime in here in the chat room. We have Rachel Ferguson. Shout out to Rachel. Little female action here.
Awesome.
She said Corbin looked very impressive. Shout out to OV9. That's an interesting username. This guy's from Cyprus, Europe. All the way out to Europe. So that's pretty cool. He wants our thoughts on the continuation of the Miz Daniel Bryan thing. What happened on Talking Smack? The thing with him and Ziggler. Now it's official. Miz will be defending the IC title against Dolph Ziggler at Backlash. It's crazy. You know, a couple years ago at Night of Champions, Miz defended the title against Dolph Ziggler, and they had that whole thing with Florida Georgia Line at ringside. You remember that? They had that country man doing the commentary for the match. But we have 2 years later, it's kind of different, and I'm really interested in this match. I really liked the opening segment with Miz and Ziggler last night. What's your thoughts on the question there with continuation with the Miz and Bryan stuff and involving this new match with Ziggler?
Real quick, number one, shout out to Rachel. What's cool is this just isn't a sausage party, so yes. Shout out to her. And you know what? And it's I know I'm hard on Corbin, and please understand that it's just a weird thing with me. It's just I'm gonna get over it. It's just one of those things. I know he's gonna grow on me, guys. But as far as like Miz and Daniel Bryan and what's going on with Ziggler, I think this is one of the greatest. This is, you know, I mean, we keep talking about how Owens was such a great moment. Yeah. I mean, that moment from last week still gives me chills, you know, and I don't care if it was a work or not. It's one of those passionate moments that, listen, I absolutely, if I was Mike Mizanin, the person, that's how I would feel. Because I feel that he has always been, not disrespect. I think he's a great worker. I have no problem with The Miz. That's the thing. I've always liked The Miz. I've always pulled for The Miz. I thought he's always been a great face for the company. He's been always a great champion for WWE. And what, you know, and he's been a great voice box for what we all appreciate and love, you know. So whether or not we agree with how he got to WWE, he's been great for WWE, you know. And he's earned his time there. I mean, hell, he's been there 10 years now. I think we can finally say, guys, that he's earned his keep.
Yes, sir. I got an idea. It came to my mind. I think in 5 to 10 years, if Miz is still performing and still wrestling, I think Miz is going to get as much appreciation then as Matt Hardy is right now. I don't know if it's going to be a different type of character change, but just how Miz didn't take a bunch of high-risk moves like the other Fat Hardy right now, I think more people are going to appreciate the Miz because from the entertainment point of view.
You know what? You're putting me in a tough spot because I'm such a Matt Hardy mark, and I've always been a fan of Matt Hardy, like Matt Hardy's characters. I have been. So like I was always more of a Matt fan than a Jeff fan. So I always saw the value that, and it's what's funny about this whole final deletion stuff. It's like finally people are seeing the light. But you know what? With Miz, it's just one of those. I think it's just envy, dude. It's envy. Again, Correct. It's one of those where this is one of those where how I talked about at the beginning. It used to be the old jock meathead club, and it's not that anymore. You know what I mean? It's people that are passionate about music, comic books, this, that, the other thing. They want to do other things there, and and it's such a diverse group of people now. Whereas before, it was pretty predominant in one facet, unless you were playing a stereotype. Let's keep it 100, and let's just keep it what it is. With that being said, I think that Ziggler is a good next match for Miz, but at the same time, I think what we're seeing out of Dolph Ziggler is that he's there now to keep putting people over. There's not I wouldn't. Man, right now for me as a fan, and I don't want to say from if I was this person, but as a fan, I want to see Miz run with this title all the way to WrestleMania.
Yes.
Just in case, guys, please don't think they're not planting seeds for just in case Daniel Bryan can come back for one match. You already have it laid out. You have Daniel Bryan versus his NXT mentor. You have Daniel Bryan versus the man that's holding the championship that he had to relinquish because he was forced into retirement. And you have Daniel Bryan versus the man that basically called him out on his own show. It writes itself. They're doing a great job with it, and I think for me as a fan who's always loved the Miz and loves the Intercontinental Championship more than any other title in the company, please keep this championship on him to WrestleMania, regardless of whether Daniel Bryan can go or not. You would still be able to tell a story with Miz at Mania. I think that right now, Kevin Owens, obviously, most important championship, but I think on SmackDown, the Miz to me is still the most important champion on SmackDown.
Well, that could change on next Sunday, though. I think you're the
yeah,
same.
But damn it, give the Miz his credit for right now.
I love the Miz. I love Miz as much as anybody does. But here's the thing, bro. I think I couldn't agree more. I think he does hold the title to WrestleMania, not only in spite of Daniel Bryan, but in spite of all the fans too at the process. Absolutely. He's making that Intercontinental Championship mean something, just like how Jay Lethal made the Ring of Honor World Television title mean something during his long run in ROH.
And just like Curt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, made the Intercontinental Championship mean something in the late 80s, early 90s again, because it needed it. Listen, I forget who it was. I want to say it was Roddy Piper. Please don't quote me on that, but I think it was Piper. He said the Intercontinental Championship didn't need, or Curt Hennig didn't need the Intercontinental Championship. The Intercontinental Championship needed Mr. Perfect.
Correct.
Right now, the Intercontinental Championship needs Mike Mizanin because he's making this championship extremely relevant, and he's crossing it over into mainstream, into media, into all these other facets. We want this title on the Miz, guys. We do.
Shout out to Timmy. I didn't know it was his birthday today. Timmy K.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's his birthday. He said it's his birthday and Jeff Hardy's birthday today. So shout out. Get them birthday shouts, my man.
Listen, and
shout out to Tony Michaels in the chat room too.
Listen, big shout out to TK. Shout out to everyone listening. But TK, just so everyone knows that Timmy that I keep talking about, TK and we met years ago at WrestleMania, and we've kept in touch, along the way. And that's why anytime you hear any of us gush over going to like SummerSlam or WrestleMania and we hanging out with everyone and meeting all these good people, guys, we really mean this. This is why we go to this. So I don't go to these events, to try and be like, hey, look at me, I'm a celebrity. I know people that do that. I go to just be a fan, and Timmy's a guy that we have a mutual love for Supercard, maybe too.
Me too. I'm fine with this. Miz and Ziggler, I'm fine with that. These guys are gonna have good matches, and I think more as months go by, there could be even more technical wrestlers and more mat-based guys that are going to go after the Miz to try to test him. And Miz is going to keep going on top. And, of course, he's got his hot wife next to him, which makes it even better. Let's move on. Last thing for SmackDown, Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. That's confirmed for Backlash. I'm down with this. I've wanted to see this feud since Bray Wyatt came to the WWE. These guys are second and third generation performers. These guys are tremendous performers in the ring. I'm all for this. I don't know about you, brother Nero, but I'm in for this.
Oh, listen, this makes me so much happier now because Randy Orton is very good in the ring. Randy Orton, again, I know we always say it, but people just don't get how good Randy Orton really is. And if you listen to everybody that listen to any interview, one of the guys they always bring up is Randy Orton, how easy he is to work with, how much of a perfectionist he is. That's why I was so against him working with Brock Lesnar, because he just doesn't seem to care or to want to be there. Anyway, I'm thrilled that this is happening. I am. I think that we all want Bray Wyatt in a meaningful feud. We all want Randy Orton in a meaningful feud. We're kind of seeing a different side of Orton where when he was kind of like the over-the-top good guy before, it didn't really work because it seemed a little forced. I think now that Randy has kind of matured, and guys, I'm not saying that I'm saying that because we've all done it. I've done it. And if you're sitting there saying that you haven't matured as a person, then you're still stuck in your 20s and you need to grow the up. And Josh, I'm editing myself for you today, sir. Or at least I'm trying to. But I think that he's a guy that's matured over time, and I don't know. I like this whole. He seems more comfortable being the fan face. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it might end up being where AJ. Listen, AJ's popularity right now, and the way he was kind of speaking on Talking Smack last night, seems like he kind of wants to run as a face because of he likes doing it for the kids and stuff like that too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what's going to happen with this, but I like this Randy Bray Wyatt back and forth. I think that there's so much potential, and I want to see it drag out over a couple months. I really do.
Yeah, and depending on what they do, like stipulation matches for the next couple of matches on different pay-per-views, I think No Mercy's coming back in October, which is pretty cool. I like the No Mercy pay-per-view. I actually went to one in Chicago. That was the one where Randy won the WWE title twice. In the same night. There was like 3 different title matches. And I also had to suffer during Punjabi prison match. I like to remind people.
Yeah, I think that was during a time, I like to call that the dark era, when I was drinking a lot. And I think by the time the Punjabi prison match was on, I was just like, at that point, I think we were just playing drinking games to get through that match, which I wouldn't recommend, by the way. Please don't, and don't drink, don't do drugs, ladies and gentlemen. But,
well, I don't think we're gonna have that match anytime soon.
I hope not. I guess don't say that. Jinder Mahal's back. You never know.
Oh no,
Vince is ill. Vince is an ill dude. He'd bring it back.
Sami Zayn versus Jinder Mahal. Hinder.
There you go. I'm glad I didn't have to say it.
Don't hinder the Jinder.
Don't hinder Jinder, baby.
Oh man! All right. So Backlash is pretty much set in stone for next Sunday, which I think is cool. I want to pose an idea to you. Since we have dual brand pay-per-views, I think they're going to go the format they have for the Beast in the East special, the MSG show. What was the other one they had? Oh, Roadblock. 2.5 hours.
Tokyo. Oh, yeah,
you're not having 8 feuds. You're not going to have a kick. You may have a panel show, but I don't think you're going to have a gazillion matches or whatever. But I think for Backlash, they're gonna go with the format. Since it's a WWE Network special, I think they'll go full 3 hours or longer when you have the dual brands with each other, because you're gonna have enough programs to do it then.
I couldn't agree more, dude. You took the exact words out of my mouth. Whenever they said 17 pay-per-views this year, or whatever the hell it is, 19, 17, whatever it's going to be, we were all like, wow. But I thought, you know what they'll do is they'll make the off pay-per-views, they'll make them 2.5 hours, because they don't have to go 3 hours now, guys. And if we're getting 2 pay-per-views in a month that are each 2.5 hours, it's like a 5-hour pay-per-view. That's not a reason for us to complain. And then it kind of takes, you take it out of the fans' hands to say, oh, it's 3 hours this night and this and this, so it's you're less is more sometimes, Yeah. So you're simplifying those pay-per-views. You're kind of making them feel like NXT takeovers in a way. Imagine that.
You're going to get that feel from SmackDown, at least.
Absolutely.
Because believe it or not, besides Kevin Owens, SmackDown has had stories for every program that's been going on right now. It hasn't been just matches. And even for the women, I'm looking forward to that 6-pack challenge. That's going to be pretty dope, actually. I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait to see who wins that match.
I'm saying, and I think the Big Four now, I think what we're going to see going forward is the Big Four, expect it to go past 11 o'clock. Saying it's always
probably going to be 4 hours Survivor Series or the Rumble.
And I'm okay with that. Now, let me ask this, though, Josh. Yeah. If they start to go to that format, and obviously we're just speculating here, guys. I don't want to make it seem like, we're just playing what we think is going to happen. If they went to a formula like that, would you want the Big Four then to be switched around so that it would be Money in the Bank instead of Survivor Series? Or would you make it so that, let's just branch it out to now we have a big 5 pay-per-views, and then the other months is, because during Money in the Bank month, is that going to be the only pay-per-view of that month? And because that's a big one, that has to be both brands, correct?
I would think so, because you would do 2 pay-per-views you can't do 2 pay-per-views in April because it's WrestleMania.
Correct.
So the first one would probably be a Raw pay-per-view that month, right? You do 2 in May, 1 Money in the Bank in June, right? 2 in July probably, and then SummerSlam,
right?
And then you go back to whatever.
October you have 2, November you have 1, December you have 2, January you have 1, February and March you could even put 1 in February, 1 in March, a SmackDown 1 in February, a Raw 1 in early March, and then April, boom.
I was about to say that. Whatever March one, you gotta do it the first week of March. You can't do it. You can't do it later.
Last Sunday in February, first Sunday in March. Boom.
Correct.
Boom. Bang, done. We just booked your pay-per-views, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome.
I also want to dish out an idea for Raw at least. The Cruiserweight division is going to come to Raw on September 19th. That's going to be pretty cool. My idea is not only you could dedicate the second hour of the show to the Cruiserweight division, but you have to present it the same way it is on the CWC, where you had the vignettes before every match. Like you change the whole design. You put the Titantron screen purple and whatever color you're gonna use for the division. Use it by the LED screens by the ringside too, and you have the same format as the CWC. You just have it like that. You shake hands. You have the match, and then you move forward from there. I think if they present it the same way as in the CWC, I think you're going to get some good stuff from the Cruiserweight division because, dude, it gets better every week. Every show I get to watch this Cruiserweight Classic, man. It's badass. I never got to watch the best of the Super Indies or Super Juniors tournaments before. So to see something like this has been a blast for me.
I think I agree with Oh man, I see this from both sides, so I'm going to try and play the middle on this one. Only because I can see the appeal of keeping it exactly as is because it's been so successful. On the flip side of it, though, now you're on Monday Night Raw, and when you're on Monday Night Raw, you're there to tell a story, and it's very simplified with the Cruiserweight Classic, and it's a tournament. So now you're not going to be in a tournament anymore. So now we're vying for the spotlight, we're vying for TV time, and we're vying for storylines, and hopefully potentially a championship belt. Or championship title. I don't want to say belt. I'm sorry. So with all of that being said, I feel like you don't want to make them feel like they're lesser than just because they're cruiserweights. You know, it's a division, yes, but they are Monday Night Raw. So that would almost be like if the women's division was out there when it was still the Divas division, everything was purple to match the belt and stuff like era title and stuff like that. So I think they'll have to find a middle ground. I don't think we need as many storylines though with the cruiserweights because their matches do tell a far better story, I feel, than some of the matches that we see out of some of the main roster guys, because a lot of times it's more the build up than the match, but I guess that's where I'm at. I think that if they can find a happy medium in between, because simplistic storytelling, but we do need some sort of storytelling because now it's not a tournament. Now you're fighting for a roster spot, you're fighting for survival, you're fighting for television time, and hopefully a title.
I want to give a shout out to Kurt Hawkins. The facts yesterday that were great.
I love it.
The Marines are looking for a few good men or Kurt Hawkins. I thought that was great.
That's all they need is Kurt Hawkins. Just Kurt Hawkins.
The last addition I wanted to add to Raw was the Michael Cole interviews. Now you don't have to do it you don't have to do it every week. Do it like every other week. Pick a different storyline. Could be for the U.S. title feud or the world title feud or, hell, even a grudge feud. Have one of those guys or have both guys in the same room with each other and do those sit-down interviews how they have it on WWE.com. You want to get character development on TV, you got to do it like that. Just off the cuff.
I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. It would be better than a recycled video package that we see over and over again. That I guess that was always my biggest complaint about when it was Raw was 3 hours combined shows, was that even with all this talent that they had, we were getting a lot of recap video packages, and I understand the importance of it because not everybody tunes in for all 3 hours. You have to reset a show, at the top every hour. I mean, I understand these things, guys, but it just became it was oversaturated. And at one time, that's all SmackDown was. Now you and I know that SmackDown for at least the past year has been much, much different. You know what I mean? But there was a time leading up to that it just felt like it was Vignette City, or it was Recap City. You know what I mean? It wasn't even good vignettes. It was Video Package City. But I'm glad that they're kind of straying away from that. So anything that they can do to make it feel like it's fresh and it's new and it's not something like, man, how many times are we going to see the same video package over and over and over? I'm okay with it because then it doesn't seem like filler, even if it is filler.
We're in for some good stuff, brother Nero. I say it every week. We're in for some fun, man. I'm just
digging it, man.
Strapping in and watch this stuff. It's gonna be some.
Listen, and it's not perfect. Like it's not. Yeah. But nothing's gonna be, And again, Josh, like we always talk about it. We don't criticize anything else that we watch this much. You know what I mean? Like this is the only thing we feel like we can change what they're doing. So we always have to complain. Like it would be so much more fun if everybody just sat back and just enjoyed it. And I'm not saying listen, we're still gonna pick it apart. It's what we do. It's fun to do that.
Yeah.
But have fun doing it instead of constantly trying to find the negatives. I don't know.
I guess for me, from my point of view, like I'm not a type of person like a lot of other people from other podcasts you'll listen to where I'm not going to get on my high horse and say that, hey, I'm going to tell you how things should be booked or this and that. I just think it's disrespectful for the men and women who have to sacrifice time away from their family to actually do this for a living. I haven't had an opportunity to be in the business, so I'm not going to be one to say, oh, this is how it's supposed to be done and how dare this company do this. And who am I to say that? I'm a nobody. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, it's okay to have my opinion, but I'm never gonna say, oh, I could be a better booker. Oh, these guys are clueless or this, that. It's just, I think it's a spit in the face to people who actually do this for a living, and I want to learn. And whether people believe it or not, you learn something new at every show you watch each week. And don't tell me you don't.
And I think the perfect. To pull something from SmackDown last night, The Miz said it perfectly when he said, you don't understand what I do for this company. And guys, we don't. We have no idea. We really don't. And again, I know that I worked one indie show in my entire life and I was nothing more than a plant, to be in the ring. But in 15 minutes, I learned so much more than, and I'm not, and I don't know, I still don't know anything. You know what I mean? But it was just so eye-opening of like, wow. Like and that's another thing that really helped with like, you know what, I'm not going to sit here and try to constantly play like, yeah, we fantasy book. Yeah, we make a lot of jokes, but it's because we love wrestling and the people that sacrifice their lives and their bodies and in their family life. And that's why I have so much appreciation for Kevin Owens. As a father myself, and listen, Titus O'Neil, like anybody that's a parent in there, but I really look up to Kevin Owens a lot, and which is a very bizarre thing to say because I believe I might even be older than him. Yeah. But that's the type of guy that I have the utmost respect for. I mean, you can tell he loves his family. You can tell that he knows that he does love the fans and appreciates the fans, but knows how to push fans' buttons. He's such a brilliant worker. He tells such a great story in ring. He's so good, and I think this week is really no matter between what Miz said about not really understanding unless you're there seeing what the Miz does, and finally seeing Kevin Owens reach the top of the mountain. I think it's been a really good week for what professional wrestling should be about.
Mm-hmm. And I'm talking in this era since CM Punk has left. It's been a challenge for me to find one particular wrestler to be fully behind. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the reason why I've been on like a kick of trying to support the whole brand and support the whole company and try to look at different guys and enjoy what they're doing instead of just clamoring and just being a one type of wrestler type of fan. You know what I mean? Punk was my guy. It took me a while to try to find that guy, but Kevin Owens is that guy for me now. So Kevin Owens has been, man, I got to meet him about 4 years ago at a Chicago independent show, and the guy's a man. So I couldn't be happier for him.
I'll admit, even before Punk was gone, I already had a guy ready to go, and that was Seth Rollins, a.k.a. Tyler Black, because I don't know, man. I think me and you both knew, especially during that during the 24 or 2013 year after he came back. I think we knew that he was gone. And I was already like, listen, he doesn't want to be here. And with Jericho kind of not being part time now, and I want to say something else too. A lot of people saying that this is the best Chris Jericho has ever been. You're absolutely right.
Yes.
And I'm so glad I have followed Chris Jericho's career maybe more than a lot of people watching this. I'm a huge Jericho mark. Might have a man crush on him. I'm not really sure at this point. I question my sexuality sometimes. But see, that's that Heath Slater self-deprecating humor, baby. Come on, if more people could laugh at themselves, this world would be such a better place. But
correct.
Listen, but Jericho's a dude that seriously, he's one of the reasons why I fell back in love with wrestling back in like 1996, 97 when I got back into it.
Yeah.
So watching his career really play out like all over through these years, this is the best he's ever been. But this shows guys that I don't want. Another thing that I'm tired of is a certain guy. He's this age, so I had Jericho written off. Like, you know what? He doesn't really want to do it anymore. And I'm eating my own words, and I'm glad to eat my own words when it comes to wrestling because it's like. Especially when it's one of your favorite guys, I make no qualms that my Mount Rushmore is Hennig, Jericho, Punk, Rollins. Nice. and it's only because I can't put Bobby Heenan on there, although I want to. Heenan would be like watching over them. That's my stable with Heenan running the stable. You know what I mean? But Rollins I already had as a backup in the chamber ready to go, just because I think as Punk fans we knew he was on his way out. But I do think that I'm in a spot now too where I appreciate so much talent. I don't need Seth Rollins to hold a championship so I can say, yeah, Seth Rollins is my guy. He's the champion. I actually don't want Seth Rollins near the championship because I think he could tell a better story without the championship. And I'm more into the story than I am the title.
Correct. Me too. Since you gave out your Mount Rushmore, I'll give you mine, okay?
Yes.
Punk, Taker, Owens, and Triple H.
I like that.
Those are my four.
And you know what? And a lot of people out there are saying, well, it's probably too early to put Rollins on there, and I understand that. And it might be. I will slip Edge in as an alternate, just because I'm a huge Edge head too. So he kind of flip flops in and out of there. But like, I'll admit I'm a Rollins mark. It's pretty bad.
Speaking of. If I had an alternate, I'd put Broken Matt Hardy just for the gimmick, just for the hell of it.
He's brilliant. Listen, ever since the V1 days and everything that like Big Money Matt was good, Matt Hardy version 1 was good. Even when he came back and he was feuding with Jeff leading up to once again WrestleMania 25 in Houston, Texas. Shout out TK. I thought Matt was great then too. Yeah. I feel as though he's always been in his brother's shadow, and it sucks because a lot of what Broken Matt speaks of, I think there's a lot of truth in it.
Yeah.
The 7 deities are very wise to the broken brilliance of Matt Hardy.
I think Vanguard 1 needs to go search for that obsolete mule Colin Kaepernick, but that's another topic for another show.
Oh man!
Since we're talking about Punk, if you guys haven't seen the evolution of Punk on Fox Sports 1, go check it out. It's really, really good. I got to catch up with the episodes due to YouTube since my box is not working, so I've been having to watch a lot of TV through the computer and just scavenger hunt this stuff. I've been watching Raw on the computer for the last 6 weeks, so it is what it is.
Dude, we've been watching television on a 21-inch monitor that we have hooked up to our computer that we need for work anyway. Yeah. But it was it's because everyone knows that during Extreme Rules we were going so crazy jumping around that our TV fell off the stand and fell to pummeled to its death. Yeah, I mean we're such like hippie simplistic people that we don't really care. We just never bought another TV, so we're just running. We watch off the computer. Everything we watch is on a computer, bro. Everything.
Brother, I know you got to watch it. I think you could be honest with you. No kayfabe. You probably watched the Punk thing before you watched Raw, right?
This week, no. Typically we do. This week we did not because I had a gut feeling Owens was going to win, and I didn't want to be behind on Owens' moment. I didn't. I did that. It was. it was one of those where, as a fan, I think that it was a special moment for a lot of us as fans.
Yeah.
And I think and as I get older, I really I can't talk enough good about Kevin Owens and how much I respect him as a father. I am a father as well, and it's one of those where the love and affection he has for his son, and you can tell how the family bond that they have. That's something it warms your heart. I don't care. And I know he's supposed to play a bad guy, and he plays an excellent bad guy on TV. And maybe that is really, who he is, even though I don't think I've heard he's one of the kindest, gentlest guys. But we're keeping kayfabe alive here in this aspect. But typically, I do absolutely, yes. We watch the evolution of Punk, and then we start Raw at 10 o'clock. But this week we weren't doing it. We had to be there for KO's moment.
What's like the favorite thing you've taken away so far from this Punk series?
From a fan or something that's been amusing?
Both.
From a fan side, just I think this is a really good redemption for CM Punk in a way, so that people can see that. Listen, he had to separate himself from wrestling too, and I still think that's a lot of the reasons why he speaks ill about professional wrestling is that, he's doing something different now, and he's doing it because he wants to do it, and I think it's refreshing to see, a lot. You're either going to love me or you're going to hate me kind of guy, because I'm very unique, and I pride myself on that, and so is CM Punk. And you're either going to love him or you hate him, but this made me remember why I loved him so much. He is a very humble guy, and there's a lot that I'm saving for a different show, because it's a rant show, and I'm going to kind of go off about it. But I think this does show a lot of CM Punk's humility, that those of us that are fans, we know that he's not cocky, he's confident. Mm-hmm. But I appreciate that he understands now that, he got in. He makes no mistakes that he got into professional wrestling for himself, but then he realized that he became a voice, and now he kind of embraces that, and he wants to make a difference, and he wants to be a positive role model for people out there. And he's not trying to please anybody but people that are are fans of his. He's not going out of his way to try and make new fans. But if you watch his stuff, I find it hard to believe, unless you have a personal grudge against the man, not to want to be, not to kind of somewhat pull for the man. And on the comedic side, I've really gotten a kick out of everybody reaching out going, dude, you and Punk even sound alike when you talk. Or you and Punk, watching this reminds me of watching how you and Sam act, like him and AJ. It's like, come on, guys. Like, the doppelganger thing isn't enough. Like, I have to live with this enough. Like, yes, I'm a fan, but, like, I'm getting pigeonholed as, like, this giant mark. Like, I can't cut my hair short now, because everyone's going to be like, you're cutting it short because you're – yeah, right? Like, you guys got to make it weird for me to, like, watch this own thing. But no, just little marky things though, like little Harley Quinn stuff, Batman stuff. I mean, you see this stuff pop up, but no, just overall, like, that kind of stuff's been funny on the side. But it's just been fun to see this from a different point of view of understanding why he left wrestling, understanding and we never got the full story on a lot of stuff between the surgeries that went down, so it was easy for people to shoot arrows at him. I like seeing how it played out. Right, exactly, and they're all wasted arrows. And you know what? Do I think he's going to beat Mickey Gall? If I'm keeping it 100, no, I don't. But on the flip side of that, listen, Mickey Gall, from what I've seen, he kind of thinks that he's walking into an easy fight, and you never want to walk into the octagon thinking that you're going to win. And if there's a guy that likes to prove people wrong and that can prove people wrong, it's CM Punk. But I think this has been a very refreshing look at what it takes. And for everybody that wants to say that he's going to lose, he's stupid, he's doing this, then you go do it. Because what he's doing right now is something that all of you that are shooting arrows at him, none of you could do, or else you'd be doing it yourself. I understand that his name probably did give him an open door, but he is not naive to that fact either. So if he's so weak and you're so much better, you go do it yourself.
For me, it just reinforces the reasons why Punk became a big idol of mine. I'm not really big into like getting to having idols from celebrities' point of view. I think you should have like family members or really like life mentors be your type of idols or role models. But Punk was if I had one celebrity or athlete or whatever to look up to as a human being, more importantly than anything else, it would be Punk. And yes, there's bias for me because he is from my hometown. I do love the B-roll shots they have in Chicago throughout the show, which I think is pretty cool. It's funny, like he was running past a building where I did like a jazz concert before. It brought back a lot of memories. It's pretty cool. It's awesome. I can say this. It's been a while since when it was Brock's first UFC fight. I've seen more positive vibe for Punk getting into this first fight than Brock did when he first did, and it's more genuine. I'll definitely say that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Adam.
I was going to say, it seems like it's still very 50-50, where before the wrestling community, it seemed like really, I don't know. I'm trying to think back, because I remember I was really pulling for Lesnar when he crossed over. And, just like I'm pulling for Punk, because I think that, love him or hate him, if Punk succeeds, guys, this is a guy that wasn't a Greco-Roman wrestler first. He was a professional wrestler first. It's crossing over into MMA. If he could be even somewhat successful, this validates so many athletes in wrestling, because it's gonna validate them as wrestlers, because as athletes, because there's still a stigma that they're just performers, they're just actors, they're just over glorified stuntmen. They're athletes. That's what drives me nuts. So I don't understand when people are like, I can't wait to see Punk get his teeth kicked in. Really? So then we have to sit here for the next 3 months and go, well, that's because he's that fake wrestler guy, ha 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 ha, and then we have to be in defense mode the whole time, instead of like the wrestling community rallying around a guy that said, you know what, maybe they didn't leave on the best of terms, but here's the thing. We don't work for WWE, and we don't work for CM Punk. We don't work for either entity, so it really shouldn't matter to either of us, to any of us at the end of the day. All that should matter is that there's a guy that came from something that we passionately love, that's going over, that's taking an enormous risk, that knows the risk, that knows that he's putting himself on a platter for all the criticism in the world, but he's taking that risk. And if he succeeds, that slim chance that he succeeds, the wrestling community is going to go from being called a circus sideshow freak show to, you know what, they're on ESPN, CM Punk just crossed over, Lesnar crossed over, Bobby Lashley crossed over, Batista crossed over. All of a sudden, just like Kevin Owens winning the Universal Championship changed people's minds on how the way that championship looked, people will change their minds about what they think about professional wrestling or sports entertainers or whatever the hell we want to call them. That's why I'm so like, I don't care what you think about Phillip Brooks. If he wins, this is a win for the wrestling community, whether we realize it or not. End of story.
Yeah, Punk is the man. You got to fight on September 10th. It's next Saturday, I think. If I'm not mistaken,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the night before football opening weekend.
Damn, it's almost
so
here,
bro. And I'll admit, there was a time, guys, and listen, I don't want to try and be – there was a time where I was becoming very jaded with is he ever going to fight, But it's refreshing to see on the special that he was having that same, he was like, Jesus, now is it ever going to happen because of the surgery and stuff? So just because, I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't wait for it just to be all over with, just to whether he wins, loses, or whatever. Remember, guys, he's already won because he's doing what he wants to do. He's proving his critics wrong. And just being able to step into that octagon is an honor in itself.
Brother Nero, it's been a blast as always. Brother, thanks for coming on again.
Josh, thank you, brother. It's been fun, as always.
Your tagline says that one guy, but I'll definitely say this from my point of view. You're definitely better than the big guy and the big guy podcast. So,
well, thank you. Thank you. I'm just another floating talking head, man. That's all. Just trying to make people laugh and put smiles on faces. That's all.
You said you had 4 shows you're doing today. Let everybody know what's going on with you today, and where can people find you on the social?
Yeah, this is, I guess, where my social anxiety kicks in because I don't promote myself. So during it's the Adam Daly Media Horror Tour 2016 today, I guess. So I guess later on, obviously we're taping Wrestling With tonight.
Okay.
I'm very excited to announce that tonight that Cade Carnage is going to be on with us, and we are going to have Matt McCool from the Pipe Bomb with McCool and Company on with us tonight. We are going live at 10 o'clock. Sam will not be with us; she is sick, so it'll just be the three of us. Number 2, I am going to be on Rant with Ant tonight. We're taping that. That will be on the New Age Insiders Network. That'll be coming out later on in the week, and I'll be on the Pipe Bomb with McCool and Company. So I'm taping a ton of stuff tonight that you guys will be hearing me pretty much every day, and which means that I'm sorry that everybody that I'm doing shows with, I know I'm lowering your ratings because people are probably tired of me, including you, Josh. But yeah, so look for all that stuff, I guess, coming this week. Follow me on Twitter at AdamBailey13, and I'll have all the info.
You can follow
And
me.
thanks to everybody out there too, and Josh. I'm sorry, but Josh, including you, especially you, Josh. Thank you, and thanks to everybody that has me on and that listens to me. I don't know why you guys put up with me, or you're either laughing with me or at me. Either way, at least you're laughing, and I'm glad that I could do my due diligence.
I'll say this. I'll say this. It's kind of interesting where, like, when I had you on my old radio show, we almost had a struggle, like, keeping it to a certain time limit because I had to do commercial breaks, and it's just our chemistry has grown better on air over this time period. And I'll say this: you definitely helped me make this transition from radio to doing this easier since I had to leave the radio station. So thank you for being a part of this show.
Dude, that's humbling because listen, guys, that's what I want everyone to remember. I'm just a mark like everybody else that kind of got a lucky break because my wife was doing CSR and somebody reached out to me and said, hey, you want to do video? And it was like, sure. And that's why I always make the Kevin Federline joke because it's absolutely, I know that I probably piggybacked off my wife into this, but I'm here. Yeah. Hi, guys. Hi, haters.
The main reason I'm saying that is because, like, I was so stuck with just doing a one-man show format, and to you gave me the idea of doing like a conversational thing back and forth, and it was a challenge for me, and I feel like I'm getting better with it each week. I know I'm not perfect, but it's fun, so it's awesome.
Oh no, Josh, you've grown right in front of all of our eyes, but I think you're it was just getting you in front of the camera again because you were so used to being behind just the voice. It was just getting you on camera again. And I knew all I had to do was act goofy and simple. That's all I had to do, which isn't really that much of a stretch for me. So
make sure if you guys want to listen to the audio version of the show, you can go to iTunes, Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Spread a word about it. If you like what we do, leave a review, positive or negative. Any feedback is good. And also, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Go check out Wrestling With. Check out the Pipe Bomb with McCool Company. Support everything we're doing. Check out my play-by-play articles for WrestlingZone.com. # WrestlingZoneMule. I'll be back at it for next week for a Backlash pay-per-view. So that's going to be a lot of fun as well. I'm covering the Cruiserweight Classics tonight. If you guys want to go check that out on the WWE Network, that's going to be fun. And we'll talk to y'all later on. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Thank you to Tim K, TK, Rachel Ferguson, Nick, our buddy Nick BD from the UK, also chiming in. Also, thank you all for the support, and we'll be back here episode 20 next week. So, yeah, buddy, we'll be back next week. This is episode 19 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. By the way, Adam Daly went to WrestleMania 19. Go figure. Boom, we're out.
Delete.
Delete. Delete. Delete.